The morning started like any other in New Hope Colony. Farmers tended their crops in biodomes. The children laughed as they walked to school. Workers traveled by tram to mining facilities. For 15 years, the humans of Proxima Centauri built a violent community. 50,000 people called this place home. Sophia Martinez was at the command center window. As the colony's security lieutenant, she enjoyed these quiet moments before her shift. The red dwarf star cast an orange glow across the landscape. She took a sip of coffee and nodded to the technicians monitoring the colony's systems. "Lieutenant, we have an unidentified ship approaching," said Alan, the young radar operator. His voice trembled slightly. Sophia quickly moved to her post. "Origin: unknown. It is not transmitting any recognition code." She pressed the comm button. "Unidentified vessel. This is New Hope Colony. Please identify yourself." No response came. "Send the alert to Earth," Sophia ordered. "Follow protocol." Before Alan could send the message, 3 more ships appeared on radar. They were enormous vessels that dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet. "They are deploying smaller vessels," Alan said. "Hundreds of them." Sophia raised the alarm for the entire colony. "All citizens, this is a level 1 emergency. Go to designated shelters immediately. This is not an exercise." The ships descended through the thin atmosphere. They were elegant, with curved hooves that reflected the orange sunlight. Sophia had never seen their drawing before, but she recognized their intention. These were warships. "Admiral Guinea Clark of Land Command," she said, her hand steady despite her racing heart. The communications screen came to life, but only static appeared. "They are blocking us," Alan said. The first explosion shook the command center. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, smaller ships fired at residential neighborhoods. Screams echoed through the halls. "We need to evacuate," Sophia said. "Take everyone to the emergency buses." But it was already too late. The alien ships landed at strategic points in the colony. The troops were evicted. Tall, insect-like beings with 4 arms and shiny armor. They moved with frightening efficiency. From the command center's screens, Sophia watched in horror as the aliens surrounded the colonists. There was no resistance. The colony had no weapons beyond basic security tools. They were scientists, farmers, and miners, not soldiers. A crackling voice came from all communication channels. Translation software struggled to keep up. "Humans from the new colony of Hope. You have invaded sacred space. The penalty is death. The Krolthian Empire has spoken." Sophia couldn't believe what she was hearing. "There must be a mistake," she said to no one in particular. "We have treaties with all known species in this sector." The executions began methodically. The aliens used some kind of energy weapon that left no blood, no marks, just bodies falling to the ground. Men, women, children made no distinctions. "We need to send a message to Earth," Sophia said. She pulled Alan from his seat. "Come with me." They ran through the back hallways of the command center toward the emergency communications area. This station had its own power supply and quantum entanglement communicator, technology that could not be jammed. "Hold the door," Sophia said as they reached the communications area. She entered her authorization code with shaking hands. The door opened, revealing 3 of the insect-like aliens. His compound eyes reflected Sophia's terrified face. "Run," she screamed, pushing Alan back. The young technician wasn't fast enough. To the power supply buzzed and Alan fell. Sophia ran through maintenance tunnels that she knew by heart. She arrived at the small hangar where the colony kept atmospheric sampling drones. These small vessels had basic autopilot systems and emergency supplies. As she climbed into the smallest ship, she heard the aliens approaching. She activated the launch sequence and programmed it to head for the Yoruba military outpost. The small craft shot upward through a maintenance shaft. From above, Sophia saw the full extent of the massacre. The entire colony was surrounded. Thousands of bodies lay in the streets. Cruelty on ships passed methodically from one district to another. Tears streamed down his face as the small ship advanced towards the edge of the system. She was the sole survivor of the New Hope colony, bringing news of an atrocity the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. Earth would demand justice, and Sophia Martinez would make sure they got it. The headquarters of the United Earth Defense Force was buzzing with activity. The screens displayed the same horrible images. The ruins of the New Hope colony. 50,000 lives taken in hours. Lieutenant Sophia Martinez sat in the briefing room, her eyes sunken from lack of sleep. For 3 days since her return, she has told her story over and over again. Admiral William Clark walked at the front of the room. His gray hair and wrinkled face showed the weight of leadership. This was no accident, he said. This was not a misunderstanding. This was genocide. The room fell silent. 20 of Earth's top military and political leaders watched footage from Sophia's drone recordings. Cruelty and empire claimed that our colony violated sacred space, said Laura Bennett, the diplomatic chief. They say the executions were justified by galactic law. Captain Eric Johnson stood up. With all due respect, this is nonsense. The New Hope colony was established after thorough research. We had permission from the Galactic Council. Eric was the captain of the UES Defiant, the newest and most advanced ship on Earth. The 42-year-old has earned respect for his level-headed approach to first contact situations. Captain Johnson is right. Admiral Clark said, "We followed all protocols. This attack was unprovoked." President Victoria Russo entered the room. Everyone was respectful. "Sit down," she said. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. "I just spoke to the Galactic Council. Most species are unwilling to openly condemn cruelty and empire. They're scared," Sophia said calmly. Everyone turned to look at her. "You haven't seen their ships. Your weapons. They are much more advanced than we thought." The president nodded. "Fear is a powerful motivator. The Crueltians have dominated the galaxy for thousands of years. Nobody wants to be your next target. So the Earth is alone." Nathan Taylor, the communications specialist, asked. "Not necessarily," said the president. "Captain Johnson, I'm assigning you and the Defiant to lead our response." Eric nodded. "What are our orders, Madam President?" "First, check Lieutenant Martinez's account. Second, gather evidence that our colony did not violate any sacred spaces. And third, discover the real reason behind this massacre." Laura Bennett spoke. "We should try diplomatic contact first. There must be reasonable Crueltians we can talk to. Although it carries large batons," Admiral Clark added, "the Defiant will not go alone. I'm sending 3 additional ships as reinforcements." "It's not about revenge," the president said firmly. "This is about justice. Our people were murdered without just cause. We will expose the truth to the galaxy." Eric looked at the crew assignments on his tablet. "We will leave in 6 hours. Lieutenant Martinez, will you join us? Your knowledge firsthand will be invaluable." Sophia hesitated, then nodded. "I need to see this through to the end." When the meeting ended, Eric approached Sophia. "Are you sure you're ready for this? No one would blame you for falling behind." She looked up at him, her eyes now showing a fire that matched the president's. "I saw them die. All of them. I'm just not ready, Captain. I am needed." At Defiant, Eric assembled his senior team. Chief Engineer Olivia Reeves explained the ship's new stealth capabilities. Science Officer Daniel Wells showed maps of Crueltian territory. Security Chief Ryan Cooper outlined defense protocols. "The cruelty we don't know we're coming," said Eric. "Our advantage is surprise and human determination. We need answers, not a war." As the Defiant prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Eric stood on the bridge looking down at the blue planet below. "Open a channel for all Earth ships," he told Nathan. "Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Eric Johnson. Today we set out on humanity's most important mission. We seek not war but truth, not revenge but justice." The galaxy watched in silence as our people died. "Now we will see how the Earth demands responsibility." He paused. "To New Hope Colony, to New Hope Colony," the crew repeated. The Defiant's engines roared to life, propelling the ship toward the stars. Earth's response had begun. The Galactic Council chamber was huge. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of species sat on tiered seats that rose high above the central speaking platform. Earth Ambassador Henry Davidson stood alone in the center. His gray suit looked simple next to the elaborate clothing of the older species. "The evidence is clear," Henry said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The New Hope colony was not on hallowed ground. The Krelthian Empire's claim is false." Behind him, screens showed maps and research. Captain Eric Johnson sent this data from the Defiant. His crew spent 2 weeks gathering evidence. The Krelthian ambassador rose from his seat. He was tall and insect-like, with 4 arms and compound eyes. His voice translator made his words sound cold and mechanical. "Earth is a young species," he said. "You ignore galactic history. Sacred space is not merely physical. It exists in dimensions that you cannot perceive. Many council members nodded in agreement. The Krelthian Empire ruled for thousands of years. Most species were afraid to question them. So I explained that, said Henry. He motioned to change the screen. It now showed intercepted Krelthian communications. Nathan Taylor cracked their encryption codes. The messages were clear. Humans multiply very quickly. Their colony was a test of their defenses. Your execution will teach them their place. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Krelthian ambassador's compound eyes flashed with anger. This is fabricated, he said. Humans are primitive liars. They are unworthy of the council's attention. An old, frail alien slowly stood up from his seat. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow slightly. The chamber fell silent. The Cellarans were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, known for their wisdom and neutrality. I remember when the Krelthians did the same to our outer colonies. The Cellaran said, his voice soft but firm. 300 years ago, they claimed sacred space then too. We were too scared to speak. I will not be silent again. The Krelthian ambassador pointed all 4 arms at the Cellaran. You forgot your place, old man. No, Cellaran replied. You forget yours. 3 other representatives stood up. They were smaller species, the bear-like ursins, the aquatic Marisi, and the vegetable Florence. The Krelthian Empire destroyed our research station 50 years ago, said the ursin. They claimed that our watery moon violated their space, the Marisi added. They burned our seedling colony without warning. The Gilder translator whispered. Henry looked around the chamber in surprise. He did not expect allies. The Earth is with you, he told the 4 representatives. And we ask, who else will stay with us? The chamber erupted in screams. Some species demanded action against the Krelthians. Others urged caution. Many remained silent, watching to see which side would win. In Challenger, Eric and his team watched the council broadcast. Chief Engineer Olivia Reeves studied the technology of her new allies. Ursins have incredible shield technology, she said. The Marisi have stealth systems we've never seen. The Sillarans understand Krelthian biology, and the Gilders can develop ships that repair themselves. Can we combine these technologies? Eric asked Dee. Olivia smiled. Give me 2 days. Laura Bennett looked worried. Captain, these species have suffered Krelthian aggression for centuries. They may want revenge, not justice. Eric nodded. This is why Earth must lead this alliance. We demand a fair trial, not executions. We are better than our enemies. Sophia Martinez spoke for the first time in days. The Krelthians call us primitives, but they are the ones who solve problems by killing. This makes us the advanced species. A message from Earth has arrived. The Russian president authorized Operation Justice. The plan was bold and dangerous. The Challenger would sneak into Krelthian space to gather more evidence, while Earth's ambassador kept the council distracted. The Krelthians think we are weak, Eric told his crew. They think we will accept our losses and stay quiet. They still don't understand humans. He smiled grimly. They are about to learn. The Challenger moved silently through Krelthian space. Thanks to Marisi's stealth technology, the ship was invisible to enemy sensors. Captain Eric Johnson stood on the bridge, watching the stars pass by. Status report, he said calmly. We put in 15 quantum communication relays, replied Olivia Reeves. The network is almost complete. These special devices would allow instant communication across great distances. Once activated, they would transmit evidence throughout the galaxy, bypassing Krelthian censorship. Commander Wells, how was your team's progress? Eric asked. Dangle Wells appeared on his ship's screen. He led a small group that infiltrated a Krelthian military base 3 days ago. They wore special suits based on Cellaran designs that mimicked Krelthian biology, fooling the base's sensors. We accessed their central database, Dangle said. What we discovered is worse than we imagined, Captain. Explain. The massacre in New Hope was not just a matter of territory. It was a test. Daniel's face looked grim. They were testing a new biological weapon on our people. The executions were just to hide the evidence. Eric felt a cold anger rise within him. A biological weapon. Designed to target species, the Krelthians consider minors, which is practically everyone but themselves. Dr. Amy Sutton, the ship's xenobiologist, joined the conversation. Based on the data sent by Commander Wells, this weapon would affect almost 70% of the Council's species. It attacks specific genetic markers. Can you download full weapon specs? Eric asked. Already doing so, Daniel responded. But we need to act quickly. Security patrols pass every 20 minutes. In another part of the ship, Sophia Martinez sat with Nathan Taylor, the communications specialist. They were analyzing Krelthian cultural and military transmissions in the... There's a pattern here, Sophia said, pointing to a series of messages. They don't see us as a threat. They think we are too emotional, too unpredictable. Nathan nodded. They value order above all else. Their society has strict hierarchies. Nobody questions the highest levels. That's their weakness, Sophia said. They don't adapt well to surprises. The ship's alarm suddenly sounded. Ryan Cooper, director of security, rushed to the bridge. Captain, we have a problem. 6 Krelthian warships have just emerged from hyperspace. They're sweeping the area with deep skin sensors. Did they detect us? Eric asked. Not yet, but Maricy's camouflage won't withstand deep sweeps for long. Eric made a quick decision. Send an emergency extraction signal to Commander Wells. Tell Olivia to prepare for the emergency jump. Laura, contact our allies. Everything happened at once. Daniel's team rushed back to their ship, narrowly escaping the Krelthian base. The Challenger started its engines, preparing to go. Captain, they detected us. Ryan shouted. The first Krelthian shots hit the ship's shields. The Urson technology resisted, but the impact shook the Challengers. Return fire. Aim only at the sensors. Eric ordered. We need to blind them, not destroy them. The Challenger's weapons fired with precision, disabling the Lid Krelthian ship sensor array. Jump drive ready. Olivia reported. Wait, said Eric. Commander Wells, ship approaching, 10 seconds to dock. Ryan responded. The transport bay doors opened. Daniel's team rushed inside. The doors closed just as another explosion hit the ship. Jump now. Eric ordered. The stars blurred as the Challenger escaped into hyperspace. Everyone on the bridge breathed a sigh of relief. Daniel arrived carrying a data crystal. We have everything, Captain. Complete plans for the bioweapon, internal communications, and more. He paused. A list of target planets. Earth is at the top, but there are hundreds of others. Laura Bennett, who advocated diplomacy from the beginning, looked at the crystal in horror. It's not just a colony. They are planning a galaxy-wide mass genocide. Eric nodded grimly. Take us back to the Alliance meeting point. The galaxy needs to see this evidence. He looked at his crew. Operation Justice has become more important than we ever imagined. The Galactic Council chamber was more crowded than before. Word spread about the human evidence. Representatives from all corners of the galaxy came to watch. Even species that normally sent only junior observers had their most senior leaders present. Earth Ambassador Henry Davidson was once again on the central platform. This time, he was joined by ambassadors from the worlds Celerin, Urson, Maricy, and Florin. Behind them was Captain Eric Johnson and his crew. Honorable representatives, Henry began. What we present today will shock you, but it must be seen. The screens lit up with evidence from Daniel's team. The cruelty and biological weapons plans appeared first. Dr. Amy Sutton explained the science in clear terms. This weapon targets genetic markers found in most oxygen-breathing species, she said. It would be painless, but total. Entire planets would die without a single shot fired. The chamber filled with worried whispers. Next came the hit list. Hundreds of worlds marked for cleaning. Finally, they showed recordings of cruelty and high command meetings. Recordings were falling apart. Cruelty and leaders have spoken openly about removing inferior species to make room for the expansion of their empire. The massacre in Colony New Hope was just the first test. These are lies. Cruelty, and the ambassador shouted. He pointed all 4 arms at the humans. These recordings are fake. Nathan Taylor stepped forward. We anticipated your denial. That's why we include verification codes embedded in your own communications. Any species with advanced analysis tools can confirm that these recordings are genuine. Several council technicians nodded. They had already checked. Cruelty and the ambassador turned to the council leader. A tall, thin alien with gray skin. This is a human trick to turn the galaxy against us. They are not trustworthy. The council leader looked distraught. The evidence seems clear, Ambassador. What does Cruelty say in its defense? We don't say anything. Cruelty and the Empire do not respond to inferior beings. The ambassador advanced towards the exit, quickly followed by his advisors. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The council leader spoke carefully. Although the evidence is disturbing, Cruelty and the Empire control the greatest military force in the galaxy. We must proceed with caution. Sofia Martinez stepped forward. Eric looked surprised. She wasn't programmed to speak. I watched them execute my friends. She said, her voice firm, 50,000 people. Men, women, children, they didn't care. And now we find out it was just a test for something much worse. She looked around the chamber. How many of your worlds are on their hit list? How many billions will die while you act cautiously? The council leader sighed. Lieutenant, we understand your anger. But what would you like us to do? Start a galactic war. Ryan Cooper, the defiant head of security, whispered something to Eric. The captain nodded and took a step forward. Honorable Council, while the Challenger gathered evidence, the Earth did not stand still. He nodded to Ryan, who activated a small device. New images appeared on the screens. They showed small objects near important Kralthian military installations. What are we seeing, Captain? Asked the council leader. Antimatter warheads. Eric replied calmly. Placed near 27 important Kralthian bases. The chamber erupted in shocked screams. The council leader looked stunned. This is terrorism. No, Eric replied. This is leverage. Earth has never used such weapons against civilian targets and never will. These devices only target military installations and only those involved in the bioweapon program. Laura Bennett stepped forward. Earth demands justice, not war. We want those responsible for the massacre to be tried before this council. We want the bioweapon program to be dismantled with verification by independent observers. What if these demands are not met? Asked the council leader. Eric looked directly at the remaining Kralthian representatives. Then we will destroy their ability to develop weapons of mass destruction. We do not seek its extinction. Unlike them, we do not believe in genocide. But we will not allow them to threaten the galaxy. The council descended into chaos. Some species praised human boldness. Others condemned his tactics, but everyone understood. Humans would not be silent victims. They had the will to act when others just talked. 3 days passed with no response from the Kralthian Empire. The Galactic Council remained in constant session, debating what to do. Earth's ultimatum had a deadline of 8 days. There were 5 days left. In the Challenger, Eric received a message from President Russo. He gathered his senior team to hear this. Captain Johnson, the president's image read, the Kralthian ambassador to Earth delivered his official response. They consider our evidence false and our threats empty. They believe we lack the will to use our weapons. She paused. They are wrong. Alpha 7 Delta authorization code. Confirm receipt. Eric looked at his team. They think we're bluffing. Laura shook her head. They don't understand humans. They think all species are like them, governed by cold calculations. What is Alpha 7 Delta? Sophie asked. Ryan Cooper responded sternly. Authorization to demonstrate that our threats are real. Eric stood up. The president is authorizing a single demonstration. One target, minimal casualties, maximum impact. Is this wise? Laura asked. Once we cross this line, 50,000 people will already be dead. Eric replied. The line was crossed at New Hope Colony. Eric entered the bridge and assumed his command chair. Set the course for Outpost Cakes to 19. This is a Kralthian military research station, sir, said the navigation officer. Unmanned according to our intelligence. Exactly. We will show them that we are serious without taking lives. Eric looked at Ryan. Prepare Warhead 7 for remote detonation. Doctor us from a safe distance. The Challenger moved through hyperspace, coming close to a small moon. In orbit was a Kralthian installation. All metal and sharp angles. Look for life forms, Eric ordered. Scanning completed. No organic signatures detected, Ryan reported. Open a channel to Kralthian High Command. Nathan Taylor fiddled with his console. Open channel, sir. Eric stood tall. This is Captain Eric Johnson of the United Earth Defense Force. To the Kralthian High Command, you called our evidence false. You called our threats empty. You were wrong on both counts. He waved at Ryan. Detonate Warhead 7. A small flash appeared near the station. Then, a blast of incredible power destroyed the facility. The shockwave took over the Challenger, causing the ship to shake despite being a safe distance away. Broadcast this to the entire galaxy, Eric ordered. Nathan typed quickly. All quantum relays activated. All species with communication technology will see this. Eric spoke to the camera again. The facility we just destroyed was uninhabited. We chose it specifically to avoid casualties. Unlike you, we do not target innocent lives. He paused. You have 4 days to turn in those responsible for the New Hope massacre and dismantle their biological weapons program, or we will destroy all military installations involved in its development. The transmission has ended. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Go back to Earth space, Eric ordered calmly. Within hours, the galaxy erupted in response. The Challenger's communication system was flooded with messages. Julius Sanders, the communications officer, looked impressed. Sir, we are receiving thousands of transmissions from across the galaxy. Of the Kralthians, Eric asked. No. From his victims. Julia's eyes widened as she read the messages. Species we've never heard of are contacting us, sharing stories of Kralthian atrocities, offering support. Some are even sending coordinates of other Kralthian weapons facilities. Laura looked at the flood of messages. The Kralthians have been intimidating the galaxy for centuries. No one dared to face them before, until humanity showed that it could be done. Sophia said, a special message has arrived from the Galactic Council. The council leader appeared on the screen. Captain Johnson, he said, your actions have changed the balance of power in our galaxy. 37 species have formed a coalition that supports Earth's demands. They call themselves the Justice Alliance. He paused. The Kralthian Empire now faces united opposition for the first time in its history. Eric nodded. And their response? Still silence. But our intelligence suggests that your L leadership is divided. Some are calling for war. Others. The council leader looked surprised. Others are suggesting compliance with their demands. As the Challenger returned home, the crew watched the galaxy transform. Species that had lived in fear for generations were finding their voices. And humanity, the newcomers to the Galactic Society, became its unlikely leader. On the last day of Earth's ultimatum, the Challenger orbited Earth. Eric stood on the bridge, watching the timer count down. Only 6 hours remained before they were forced to destroy the Kralthian military installations. Captain, we are receiving a transmission. Julius Anders said. It's coming from within Kralthian space, but it's not through the usual channels. Pass it, Eric ordered. The screen showed a Kralthian officer. Unlike others they had seen, this one's armor was simpler. The translator gave his words a hesitant tone. I am Deputy Commander of the Kralthian Defense Force. I speak without the knowledge of the High Command. He paused. There are many in our military who do not support the biological weapons program or the massacre of their colony. Eric exchanged surprised looks with his officers. Why are you contacting us? Sub-Commander, our society has been ruled by fear for too long. Many of us want those responsible for the massacre to be brought to justice. Vex Alto looked over his shoulder nervously. The High Command is divided. Some want a hand over the culprits. Others prepare for all-out war. Laura Bennett stepped forward. What are you offering? I can hand you the architects of the New Hope massacre and the biological weapons program. In return, you must promise fair trials and not summary executions. Eric nodded. That has always been our intention. We seek justice, not revenge. How do we know this isn't a trap? Ryan Cooper asked. You don't know, Vextal admitted. But I will provide the access codes to our defense grade as a show of good faith. After the broadcast ended, the bridge exploded into debate. We can't trust them, Ryan insisted. This could be a trick to lure us into an ambush. Or it could be genuine, Laura countered. If there is an opportunity to resolve this without further destruction, we should take it. Eric turned to Sophia. Lieutenant Martinez, you've studied their communications more than anyone. What do you think? Sophia considered it carefully. Kralthians value hierarchy above all else. For a deputy commander to act against the High Command is almost unthinkable. He must really believe in what he is doing. Eric made his decision. We will find them, but we will be prepared for anything. The meeting point was a neutral space station run by the Cellarants. The Defiant arrived first, followed by a small Kralthian ship. Vextal came aboard with 6 high-ranking Kralthian officers arrested. They were the ones who planned the attack on the New Hope colony, Vextal said. And these 3 developed the biological weapon. The President of Earth, Russo, arrived in another ship, along with representatives of the Galactic Council. The prisoners were transferred to council custody. There will be a fair trial, the president told Vextal. All evidence will be presented openly. News of the surrender spread quickly across the galaxy. The Kralthian High Command, facing internal rebellion and united opposition from others, officially denounced the actions of the arrested officers. 2 weeks later, the trial began. It was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Sofia Martinez was the first to give a statement. His voice was steady as he described the massacre. They showed no mercy, she said. They didn't give any warning. They executed everyone. Scientists, teachers, children, as a test for their weapons. One by one, the evidence was mounting. The Krolthian officers could not deny what they had done. His own records proved his guilt. On the last day of the trial, Vextal approached Eric. The way you handled this situation surprised many in our empire. We expected humans to be vengeful and violent. We can be, Eric admitted. But we choose to be better than that. The Galactic Council judges have given their verdict. Guilty on all counts. The sentence was life imprisonment, not death. Some will say this is too lenient. President Russo told the galaxy in her speech. But we will not become like those we judge. Justice does not consist of combining cruelty with cruelty. This is about ensuring that such acts never happen again. As the prisoners were led away, Sophia felt a weight lifted from her shoulders. The dead of New Hope Colony received justice. Not revenge, but something more important. Recognition that what happened to them was wrong. And a promise to the galaxy that this would never happen again. A year after the trial, the galaxy has changed. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now. The curved table where only the oldest species sat now included seats for all members, including Earth. Captain Eric Johnson, now Admiral Johnson, stood alongside his former crew as he received the Council's highest honor. The medal ceremony was being broadcast to every world in the galaxy. For courage in the face of overwhelming odds, the Council leaders said, for seeking justice rather than revenge, and for uniting the galaxy against tyranny, we present the Star of Unity to the crew of the US Defiant. Eric accepted the medal on behalf of his team. We did what anyone would do when faced with injustice, he said. We get up. After the ceremony, Eric walked with Sophia through the memorial garden. It was planted in the center of the Council's space station. 50,000 Earth trees grew here, one for each victim of the New Hawk colony. In the center was a simple stone with their names. Do you still have nightmares? Eric asked quietly. Sophia nodded. Sometimes, but now they are different. I still see them dying, but then I see what came after. Justice changes. She touched one of the young trees. Their deaths were not senseless. They changed the galaxy. Across the station, Laura Bennett sat with Vextal, who now served as the Krolthian ambassador to the Council. The Krolthian Empire underwent massive reforms after the trial. The old High Command was removed and replaced by leaders who sought cooperation rather than dominance. My people still have much to learn, said Vextal. For thousands of years, we believed that our strength gave us the right to rule. Now we must learn to be equal. This is something all species struggle with, Laura responded, even humans. On Earth, the Russian president addressed the United Nations regarding the new Covenant Treaty. The Justice Alliance became permanent, with the participation of 46 species. Earth occupied a special position as a mediator in disputes. We are newcomers to the galactic community, she said, but our willingness to stand up for what is right has earned us respect. With that respect comes responsibility. The bioweapon program was completely dismantled. In its place, the member species created a shared medical research initiative. Amy Sutton led the Earth team, working with scientists from across the galaxy to cure diseases plaguing multiple worlds. The Challenger had a new mission now. With Olivia Reeves as the new captain, he led explorations into unexplored regions of the galaxy, searching for new species to invite into the Alliance. On a small planet near the edge of the galaxy, a ceremony marked the founding of the Hope Colony, named in honor of those who died. Humans and aliens worked side by side, building houses and laboratories. This would be the first truly mixed colony, with 7 species living together. Ryan Cooper, who had left the military, now headed security for the colony. Different species, different cultures, but the same goals, he told the newcomers. Peace, prosperity, and never forgetting what brought us together. At the Galactic Council's new educational center, a class of young people from 20 different species heard from a special guest. Sofia Martinez, now an ambassador, spoke about her experience. I was the only survivor, she told them. I told the story of what happened at the New Hope colony, but what matters most is what happened next, how the galaxy came together, how justice prevailed over revenge. A young Krolthian raised one of his forehands. This was the first generation raised under the new regime, taught to question rather than blindly obey. Aren't you angry? Didn't you want revenge? He asked. Sophia smiled gently. Of course I was angry. All humans were, but we wanted something more than revenge. We wanted justice, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who suffered in silence. After class, Sophia met with Eric one last time before he left on a diplomatic mission to distant worlds. Have you ever thought that a small colony could change so much? He asked. Not the colony, Sophia replied. The response to what happened there, as the galaxy watched in horror, Earth demanded justice, and justice, it turns out, is contagious. On a screen behind them, a new ship was launched from Earth's orbital dock. Its name was visible on the hull, UES New Hope, the first of many ships that would carry humanity's message to the stars. Justice for all or peace for none.